Your Minnesota Fighting Vikings should and could be in the off-ball linebacker market in the draft coming up in April. And notably, one of the guys in these pictures would look really good in purple. Actually, held both of them. But Washington State linebacker Daiyan Henley is one of those guys that you would love to match up with Brian Osma. They would be the Vikings' dynamic linebacking duo for many years to come. So let's talk about the pride of Washington State today. Daiyan Henley, 23 years young, does turn 24 in November, so he's a little bit on the older side coming in as a prospect. 6 foot, 225. Now, here's also what bugs me is, of course, school media guides. Like, they're going to inflate the numbers a little bit. I mean, Alabama had Bryce Young listed at 6'3". That's not true, but you had to think about it. But I mean, Henley for Washington State was listed at 6'2", 232, but then he measured at the combine at 6 foot 225. Well, 6 foot and 7/8, 225, but again, whatever. But former 2-star recruit from LA, went to Crenshaw High School, initially was at Nevada as a wide receiver, then converted to linebacker. 2022, took his talents to Pullman, Washington, led the Cougars with 104 tackles, added 4 sacks and an interception. First team All Pac-12 selection, tackling machine. Rarely misses tackles, 90.3 PFF grade. It's pretty amazing for a guy who's only been on the defensive side of the ball for 3 years, just having that natural ability of being able to wrap up and bring down ball carriers. It's fantastic, man. Testing-wise, so ran a solid 4.63 40, also a very good 10-yard split. Kwesi is going to be in. Now, Lance Zierlein, NFL.com, his scouting report, a little bit downgrading. So a lot of people do see Henley as a early day 2 selection, probably in round 2. Zierlein, maybe not so much. This is what he wrote. A rambunctious inside linebacker with good speed and toughness, Henley's playing style can be described as more active than instinctive. His inconsistency in reading keys and anticipating the play flow is mitigated somewhat by his speed and talent to wrap and finish in space. He has excellent range and does a nice job of stepping downhill to challenge blockers and running lanes. There's some eye-catching production totals in the takeaway column and favorable physical elements to his game, but inefficient movement combined with recognition delays could push him toward a backup and core special teams role in the future. Ooh. All right, so basically, skill set wise, even though, yes, he's coming in, he's only played linebacker for 3 years, and he's certainly developing those skills. But just on raw talent, even though he's an older prospect, I mean, I think he should still be in the day 2 mix. But I mean, Zierlein's talking about him like he's a late day 3 guy. I don't necessarily see that, but Henley, uber aggressive in pursuit, and like we said, he's a see-ball, go-get-ball type player. Does need some refinement in his game, and all the scout reports and the tape will show that sometimes he gets lost in the soup in terms of misdirection. Sometimes he reads the wrong keys. Sometimes opposing offenses take advantage of his aggressiveness in play action, which is something that obviously OCs won't miss in the National Football League. He is a sure tackler. Like I said, low missed tackle rate, best tackling linebacker in the draft, in my opinion. Very instinctive in coverage, converge. That's another 3. Yeah, but coverage skills are good. I mean, also him coming from a receiver background, especially working over the middle, looking at mesh concepts, like knowing what's coming, stuff like that. I think that certainly does help him. It's a lot like when a corner used to be a receiver. Like they understand the patterns, they understand the schemes and concepts. He is an older rookie coming in. Like we said, he's going to be 24 in November, only 3 years linebacking experience. Now, that could be seen as a positive and a negative, where he doesn't have these bad habits drilled in him that a linebacking coach would have to tear down and then rebuild. But also, he doesn't really know the nuances yet of the position. Like reading keys is something that maybe he's going to be a step slow on, even though he's got a great athleticism. But that's something that's going to have to be learned. Like he's not going to come in like say Jack Campbell and put on the green dot and be the true leader right away. He's going to have to develop behind a guy like Jordan Hicks before he could be the true blue running mate with him and Asamoah. So that's a little bit of the downside, but I mean the juice certainly is worth the squeeze. And the Vikings are in a weird spot where they have a first-round pick 23, a third-round pick 87, and I think Henley's going to go right in between those picks. I think that he's going to be a solid second-round selection, probably in the top 50, 60. So if the Vikings move back, it could be an option. If Vikings move up from the third round, also could be an option there. But I think Daiyan Henley is going to be a guy where yeah, his best football is going to be ahead of him as he continues to learn and grow into the position. And maybe he's a guy that's a sub-package dude only right away before he develops and goes from there. Very similar to what Asamoah was last season, where barely saw the field, played some great special teams, and then eventually rises up. And then Henley and Asamoah will give the Vikings one of the most athletic linebacking duos in the National Football League. But your thoughts are thoughts. Vikings need to draft Washington State linebacker Daiyan Henley. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But until next time, Skol, production value.